We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one about the Danger Zone. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso and my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, doing well. You gonna stick to that belief from now on? It's just the opening.
I might. I was thinking about it. It might be fun just to kind of do that every time, or to start out with this, and then start the magic. I was thinking.
Well, you're always searching for it mid-show, so you might as well just have it up.
The funny thing is, it's right next to me, but I have so much clutter and crap over here. Like I have an empty box of printer ink. I have mail I was supposed to open 2 weeks ago. This is one of the most random items. I have a used copy of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on an Xbox I don't even own anymore.
That's the weirdest thing ever.
It's pretty random, yeah. But it's kind of like my chaos over there.
I always need something around that I can play with off screen. So I've got.
I usually have like a pen.
I've got a mini Peacemaker here. I like turning his head around and moving him around. I got a purple pencil crayon today.
What's a pencil crayon?
So, pencil crayon. You know, it's a pencil.
A color pencil.
That's what you guys call them?
Do you call them something else?
Yeah, pencil crayons.
I've never heard them called a pencil crayon.
Oh man, that's the disconnect. The United States to Canada disconnect.
I think even on the boxes they say color pencils.
Oh boy, I don't know if I have one.
I know.
What do you call colored pencils? Are they pencil crayons?
No, colored pencils.
Or colored pencils. Wow.
Colored pencils, I think.
The next poll on Gathering of the Geeks.
I don't know. I'm looking around like I have a box, but I don't.
I know. I'm sure I have my the closet's right over there with all the stuff over there. I'm sure I've got one in there, but I can't. I don't want to leave the show for how long it's for
digging for boxes.
Yeah,
pencil crayon things. I don't know.
Colored pencil. Holy cow!
We have people in the chat.
Yeah,
who are probably also wondering what the hell is a pencil crayon? What is a colored pencil?
Oh, there you go. Ian says pencil crayons is a British term. So that's one thing that us Canadians got from the British is the naming of pencil crayons.
Ah, okay. we have good friends. We have Patrol. We have Lauren with us. Our buddy Eric. Grabs is here. Ian made it. I hope Ian is feeling better, by the way. It seems like he's dying slowly. I was supposed to DM you earlier, but I got wrapped up into space. So
I like the picture. I like the picture that he posted of him telling us he's sick. It's like he looks like the Crypt Keeper.
I know it's like a dying raisin.
Yeah, no skin. It's like that's how I'm going to picture Ian from now on.
Oh, looks like Grabs has a sick kiddo today too. I hope the kiddo's feeling better. Phil is with us. Which again, if you're not listening to his Halloween countdown, you absolutely should. As long as you're a Halloween fan. If you're not a Halloween fan, I don't know, you might not enjoy it as much.
Phil at the movies, great stuff.
Cookie's with us. And I think that's it for the roll call. Unless I'm missing somebody. Oh, Zeddy's here too. Okay, I think we're good.
So, hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Gathering of the Geeks is available wherever you get your podcast, and we're on YouTube. Just search Gathering of the Geeks, and you will find us. So, we're going to talk about a couple things. We have a couple things we definitely want to talk about, and I don't know if we're going to talk too much about comics this week, because I'm not sure if we read too much about them, or read very many of them. But Chris, maybe just start us off, man. Aside from maybe the two things we're going to talk about, House of the Dragon, I think we're going to talk about Only Murders in the Building season finale. We're going to talk about Top Gun Maverick as well. But what else did you get up to this week?
Halloween is good for the soul. I agree with Phil. It is soothing. Like we were talking about, I didn't really read much, and this week it's not that I didn't have time, because I actually had time this week. I just kept doing other stuff. But I did read the one book I was really excited for, which was Damage Control #1. I didn't like it, so that's that.
That's that.
That's really. Other than that, I didn't really get up to much. I just watched some things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much the same for me. The only thing I'll mention, if you're not reading Public Domain #3 came out this week from Chip Zdarsky, Image Comics. Great indie book about kind of the the backstory, the inside look at creator-owned comics versus comics you create for big corporations. It's kind of an inside tell of how that stuff works, and the family dynamic included as well. Very much recommend that book.
Doesn't it also kind of feel like the comic book retelling of Bill Finger and Bob Kane?
Yep, and all the stuff we've heard about from Marvel about how they're not
Mhm.
getting the right due, or how they don't think they're getting the right due when they see their characters that they created on TV or in movies or what have you. Because obviously, if you create a character for the big two, you don't own that character. You don't get any rights to that character, and that's what it's about. It's about this guy's dad, or this gentleman. He has two kids, but him and a friend, they created a public domain. It's like the Justice League, and they're making millions and millions of dollars with the movies, and the comics are kind of squandered and left to not make money. So the guy's down on his luck, and his family needs money. Blah 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 blah. So there's a legal fight in there. So yeah, it's like I said, it's the inside telling of behind the scenes of creating characters that you don't own, which is a really interesting thing and something I didn't think about. I haven't really thought about very much until very recently. Very cool idea.
It is a cool idea. It's not something I think we as fans really consider a lot. Like, we don't think, oh, well, I hope the creator's getting paid. Well, it's just not something that goes, that I think about anyway. You know, I've never really wondered, hey, I wonder if James Tynion is making money off of The Closet.
That's right.
Yeah.
100%. So that's pretty much all I read this week as well. I read some other stuff, but nothing really that is earth-shattering or anything like that.
So we're going to read this one out loud from me. Long story short for the chat, Sasha made me get her a cheeseburger from Portillo's earlier. It was either obey or sleep on the couch tonight. Try saying no to Supergirl. You can't. What I find unbelievable about this story is it was a cheeseburger and not the Italian beef sandwich. Where is her taste?
Okay, so Chris, let's talk about the season finale of Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, yes, we got that.
I know, it feels like it was 3 weeks ago. It was only Tuesday that it came out. When we last talked, I think it was last week, we talked about the penultimate episode and how we weren't really jiving with where they were leading us. I'm not sure if we want to get into spoilers or not, but spoilers for that episode, the penultimate episode, they were leading us towards Tina Fey's character being the big villain. Her and Michael Rappaport working together to kill Bunny for some reason we didn't know why yet. But they flipped everything right on its head for that season finale and gave us, I won't speak for you, but for myself, one of the best season finales that I've seen of TV. I was enthralled from the very first minute to the very end with what they're going to do for season 3. And it's a retelling of myself that you can't judge a season until it's over. Especially this one where it changes constantly. They're always changing the characters and changing the scenario and the scenery and the mystery, all that kind of stuff. So I had a great time with Only Murders in the Building. Absolutely. I think it might be my favorite episode of this season. I had a lot of fun with it. How about you?
Agreed on all of that. It is not only is just a great episode, it is a fantastic finale. Especially because the funny thing to me was episode 9 made us think it was going a certain way, because in the first season, when we hit at that point and they gave us the biggest clue, they followed through with it. And it was like, okay, this is done. Not like, oh, I don't want it. It's just that's where we were going. With this one, they still had something left to give us in that final episode, and it was just glorious. I did not expect that to be the twist. Even until like right before they revealed it, I still didn't really guess it. I was wondering, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I just enjoyed the surprise of it, and Grabs nails it here. That's the slow motion thing and the tomatoes. I don't know how I can look at tomatoes the same now.
I don't know. That might be the funniest scene of movie TV show that I've seen this year as well.
It is hilarious.
Like when before they told us, or before they showed us that moment, they told us that moment. they told us about the slow motion, then they told us about tomatoes, and it was kind of a funny thing. It's like they're not going to do it. It's just a funny thing to think. But then to actually do it and to have this feels like The Jerk, Steve Martin, The Jerk. This feels like old school Steve Martin.
In Martin Short.
Exactly. It just feels like it's the 80s again, and their guys are being ridiculous, and it's funny, but it still worked. As stupid as it is, literally slicing tomatoes was hilarious. In just thinking about it, it's just it was a scene. I wonder when they were writing it, how do you write this and think that it's a good idea? Do you have to see it? Is Steve Martin acting it out as they're writing it? Was it his idea?
Yeah, that's
because just writing it down, it seems so stupid.
On paper, I think I told you, on paper, this should not have worked.
No,
it was so stupid. It was like something you'd seen a parody film.
Yep.
But it worked incredibly well, and it was actually funny. It was so funny. The one thing that stands out to me is like a weird deal. Marv was not the father of Kara's character. So why was Marv involved in the show?
Which one's Marv?
Marv is the fan. I think that's his name, Marv.
He was wearing the tie-dye sweatshirt? Yeah.
I don't know why he was such a focal point this season if he wasn't the father. It was just kind of a weird thing, especially because I believe all of us believed he has to be the father. Clearly, he was not. If this was a Maury Povich show, he'd be very disappointed. Or I guess the crowd would be. I don't know. And I agree with Zeddy about Selena Gomez. She was so good this season, and I think a lot of it is thanks to Steve Martin and Martin Short, just elevating her. Nice. Ian asks, was it possible to guess the killer from the start? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Especially how they dealt with that character at the start, making, I don't know, it's hard to without spoilers, but they didn't make her a focal point because I was focused on Amy Schumer. I was focused on Cara Delevingne, thinking, okay, they're going to try and make a bigger name as the killer. Obviously, that didn't turn out to be true.
I think what we meant, Grabs, was them actually doing it, the tomato and the slow motion. Okay, that was on the podcast. Yeah, I listened to the podcast, but I didn't listen to the last episode, so I probably should do that.
It's interesting that you mentioned that how they set up this season compared to the season one. How you said by episode 9 we knew who the killer was in the first season. That's got to be a thing they focused on. So we have to change. We can't be the same. We have to change it so it's exactly the same. It's not exactly the same. And I think that with the Zeddy mentioned the cameo, they're also doing that with how the new season is going to start. They're not every. And me, Chris, you and I talked about this when we were talking just after season 9. It's like, how are they going to do season 3 here? They can't just have them in a building again. It can't be the same old thing. And they hear us. They understand that they can't make the same thing over and over again and make it fresh and make it funny. So they're changing it from season to season, which I think is absolutely a great idea.
Ian is right, though. She was no Kaiser Soze. the kind of the funny thing, or maybe it was a shitty thing. I don't know. It depends how you look at it. I watched the episode. It hit at 11 o'clock on Monday here. I think it was 11 o'clock. And so when I watched it, there was no spoilers online. But the next morning, I was on Twitter at 8:30 a.m. just scrolling like you do.
Yep.
And the Paul Rudd thing was everywhere.
Yes,
and so when I watched the show, I was shocked it was Paul Rudd. I wasn't sure it was even him at first. It's like,
well, especially because he comes right out of that door and they don't even focus on him. It's not like it's just like a guy walking out of a door. Right. So again, they do that. They subvert the expectations about how Paul Rudd is going to be in the show if you haven't seen it up until when the spoilers came out or whatever.
Right. It's like, that looks like Paul Rudd.
Yeah, wait a second.
Yeah, so that was a moment I thought was really cool not to know about,
Yeah, and then reading, I knew before I watched that he was in the show because I can't remember who it was. Deadline or Variety had an article saying Paul Rudd joins the cast. I'm like, he all of a sudden going to be the weird de facto killer, and then that's how they're going to blend it into season 3. So I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, and I think they blended it in perfectly.
Grabs has the best comparison here: robots in disguise, killers in disguise. I'm with it.
Killers
roll out.
Yeah.
Yes, it did crash Hulu. That was something else.
It was the week of crashed services for TV shows this week, I guess. Then
Amy Schumer didn't die, which is a huge missed opportunity. Well, that is passive aggressive, I think.
I'm like, and thinking about it now, I'm glad they didn't keep going back to her. I'm glad we didn't really see her again.
Yeah, I didn't really want to see her.
No, and that's not that it's a miss or anything with the season, but one thing they could have done with her side character. But maybe that's the whole idea about this penthouse. I think Sting was in there in the first season.
Yeah, does that mean there'll be another celebrity in there the next season?
If they, yeah, it depends on. Like, I assume they're going to go back. Maybe.
I'm assuming he's Paul Rudd.
Oh, right. I didn't notice that. If they called him Paul,
is he Paul Rudd in the show? I don't know.
I don't know. That would be interesting, and that would make sense if he's up in the penthouse, for sure.
Could be. I guess we will see.
So we loved Only Murders in the Building, and it seems like, thank you, fellas, that he is not Paul Rudd.
Okay.
Seemingly, everyone enjoys this show. It's across the board a well-loved, well-liked show. And I look forward to season 3. It's like waiting on Ted Lasso now. I just can't wait for it to come. I'm going to be anxious waiting for it to come.
I actually love that it brings the community together with how many of us enjoy this show.
Well, and a show like Ted Lasso, where it's not a nerdy geeky thing, straight up, big characters from the 80s, Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, kind of the under the radar, Nickelodeon pop star in a way. It's just the way. I think so. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure she was like a child actor, and she was
one of those things.
Yeah, so it's just a very interesting idea that we're talking about right here on a show where we talk about comics and superhero stuff. We're also talking about Only Murders in the Building. Very cool.
Not soon enough. It was rumored to be at the end of July, but it is not here. So. I'm guessing maybe closer to the holidays is my assumption. Because they do usually have the holiday episode, so maybe that's the idea here. Timing.
Don't know. Ooh, nice.
Disney pop stars. Selena was not Nickelodeon. Right. Okay. Wizards of Waverly Place. I have no idea what that is, but it sounds cool.
I've heard it.
I've heard the name, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, never seen it.
Great share song. Share song. I agree.
So that's Only Murders in the Building, guys. That's it for this season. The other show, like Zeddy said, that crashed Hulu. House of the Dragon season episode 1 crashed HBO Max. Crashed Crave up here for me. It took me about 15 minutes to get the show loaded. Chris, what did you think about the first episode of Game of Thrones House of the Dragon?
I couldn't even watch it the first night. It just kept crashing. But once I watched it, it was very, very good. It was kind of better than I expected. Because I'm one of those people who said, I'm not going to watch it. Game of Thrones ended badly. I don't want this. I don't need it. Now I would like to inject it into my bloodstream. It was very impressive. It looks and feels just like Game of Thrones when it was good.
Exactly.
In just like Game of Thrones, the first episode is a gigantic info dump.
Yep.
There are so many characters, so many names. I don't even remember half of them. I can't pronounce the main character's name, which means they're doing something right. There's dragons. There's violence. I'm in. It was really good. I liked it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought that this looks like Game of Thrones at its best. But when you also think about how the first season of Game of Thrones looked, it was much more toned down with special effects and very much more of most of the show was, but very much story and character centric. Obviously, we get the spectacle, we get dragons, we get the vast landscape of of King's Landing, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting the tale that this is like starting off a Game of Thrones season 4 or season 3 technological wise. It's already starting off as the biggest show, the biggest Game of Thrones has ever been, but also still very confined into King's Landing. We don't go outside King's Landing. We don't go outside, aside from the what do you call it? With the horses. What are they doing?
The Red Keep? No.
No, what are they doing with the horses? What's the jousting? Aside from the jousting arena, we're pretty much kept in the Red Keep, but pretty much kept in the small council chambers. Small council.
A lot of council chambers, yes.
A lot
of discussions.
Very political.
Yes.
Yeah,
a lot of characters I don't remember what their names are.
Yeah. The only one I don't remember is the Valerian guy. The guy who sits on the end with the white hair, the black guy.
I want to call him Clay, but I know that's not it.
I know his last name. He's a Valerian. And I don't remember the other two, the other side. I just remember Otto Hightower, who's my favorite character of the first.
Hightower, I remember because it reminds me of Police Academy.
There you go. It's easy.
So Hightower, I'm good with that.
So I agree with you about the show. It was better than I expected to, and I still expected very good things. I still expected this to be the biggest show that HBO has ever had. Before, and it is. The first episode premiered higher than any other shows ever have before, but I was still very surprised with it. And surprised with it, knowing I know a little bit about the history from what I can remember from Game of Thrones. Being surprised that, eventually all of this is going to end for the Targaryens. It doesn't end well for the Targaryens.
Which is hinted at, and I really like that, actually.
Exactly. It's like, we know all these people are going to die. They're going to fight. They're going to kill each other.
Isn't that interesting, though? You're watching a show where everyone dies.
Exactly, and that's why this first episode is so special, because it makes us still care about these people. And that moment really triggered in my head is when after King Viserys' wife dies, and Otto Hightower sends his daughter into his room.
So gross. But it's like, and you're sitting there, and actually it was a little bit before that when the baby is born, the little boy, and he's like, oh, he's got his boy, but then the maester looks down at the baby and he kind of gurgles a bit, and my wife looks at me and she's like, is that baby dead? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And then it kind of waits and you're not really sure, and you see the baby on the burn pile or whatever. But then right along after that, Otto Hightower sends his daughter into the king, and he's like, oh, this guy is sneaky. Like, this guy is very sneaky. He wants control of of King's Landing, of the realm, and he's going to do it by sacrificing his daughter to her, which is like, oh man, I don't like it.
It's such a shady thing. I'm like, wow, this is different, and this is special, and this kind of storytelling and this kind of writing and acting is just what sold it for me.
I'm already hoping he has a horrible death. Speaking of the actors, so Ian mentions Matt Smith. I'm not really familiar with Matt Smith. I think I only know him from Morbius.
Yeah, that's right.
That might be the only thing I've seen him in. And in Last Night in Soho. I do know him. He's good in that. But this actually had some actors I didn't recognize at first. Like, it's got Patty Constantine, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. It has, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, the lizard from Amazing Spider-Man.
Rhys Ifans, I think.
Sounds good. It's got him. And there's just some other actors sprinkled around. And I believe there's a time jump coming, which is cool.
If you see some of the trailers, you see that there's an older Rhaenyra. I think this episode that's airing right now, we still get the young Rhaenyra, but then eventually she ages up.
Rhaenyra.
I'm not really sure. Rhino.
I know. Targaryen. The Targaryen.
Yes.
The young Targaryen lady. Plus, with this show, they don't have to finish someone else's work, so they may end it better. I believe this is also a book, though.
So it's based off of Fire and Blood, and it's not a novel. It's like a telling of history.
Okay, so it's like a history book.
It's like a history book. That's what Fire and Blood is. It's just a history book. So it's not like a novel where you're reading, storylines or whatever. It's just like, oh, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this
I saw Nico bought it earlier. So I'll just ask him for the cliff notes.
Exactly.
Ian, is this the friend of Matt Smith? Is that who this actress is?
Oh, his mistress or whatever?
Yeah, I didn't recognize him at first either. I just thought he was a random English guy.
The only thing I don't really know about Rhys Ifans, aside from the lizard, is that he was in the Replacements as the kicker.
I always think of him from the Hugh Grant gem. What the hell is that movie called?
You started it off so perfectly, Chris.
Notting Hill.
The Hugh Grant gem.
Yeah, the Hugh Grant gem, Notting Hill. He is the roommate who likes to run around naked and whatnot. That's always what I think of him from. Not so much the Spider-Man movie, but that's what I go to. And yes,
right.
he is famous for that too.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, I know who said. Yeah, that actress is very good. I remember her in Ex Machina. Grabs us any of the people we're talking about.
Yeah, so like they did, like you said, Chris, they introduced us a lot to every single character in the show. It's not like, and like they said, they did the small council meetings. I think they did 2 or 3 of them. And the characters and the fighters and the history. And we saw people at the very start of the episode, the King Jaehaerys. Like, okay, we see him, and then he's just gone. Stuff like that. They introduced us to a lot of characters.
It was Game of Thrones overload, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm. I did too. I just absorbed it all.
It's kind of like a buffet. You go there, you eat way too much, and you regret it later, but you enjoyed your time there.
Yeah, for sure. It also helps if you guys are interested in hearing more about House of the Dragon more in depth. There's a really good podcast called Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. You should search for it on Twitter. It's very good. Two guys go into it pretty in depth. The House of the Dragon. So if you're looking for more information, Grabs, if you want to know more about these people and more about their names, just search for them. Really good show.
I might have to do that just so I can remember the characters' names.
Yep.
What they should have did was have Sean Bean play someone to kill him off in the first episode. I would have actually thought, I think that would have been cool. Like, this is the descendant of Ned Stark and he dies anyway.
Yeah, he could have been
loop.
I forget who it was. Was it Rickard or Rickon? I think there was a Stark in there.
There was.
Yeah, that would have been funny if it was Sean Bean.
I'll need to keep rewatching it to get the names and stuff. Yeah, nothing sunk in. I know they're Targaryens.
Mm-hmm.
The Hightower because of Police Academy. We're done. That's all I know.
Well, that's what I wondered too. Like, who's going to die? Sean Bean was obviously a big death in season 1, and there's lots of deaths in many seasons of original Game of Thrones. I wonder how they're going to spread out these deaths. Who's going to be one? I wonder about Otto Hightower. I wonder if he's an early death because the king realizes that he's a slime ball and trying to get behind his back and control things. And
he's no Tyrion.
Yeah,
he's no Tyrion.
I agree with that.
But he'll do.
Yes. Yeah, so that's our thoughts on House of the Dragon. Next episode 2 is airing right now. I'll be watching that as soon as we get done here. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I know it's been a while for it. It's been out. Chris, I'm not sure how long ago you saw this, but I finally watched Top Gun Maverick last night. I watched it with my wife. I watched it at home. I couldn't express how much I love this show or how much I love this movie. I loved everything about it. I love the action. I love the music. I love the characters, the acting, everything. I put a tweet out that our man Zeddy, who's been championing Top Gun Maverick ever since he saw it, I think he's seen it 8 times now. He is right about everything that he said about this movie. I couldn't believe how much I like this movie. I was actually brought to a certain amount of tears when the movie ended. Not because I was sad because somebody died or happy that they completed their mission. It was just such an experience. It's one of those things, people talk about movie theater experiences. I watched it at home on my TV as loud as possible as I could. And it was an experience just watching it. Me and my wife were watching it. We were, not physically, but it felt like we were fist bumping and high-fiving the whole thing. This type of movie just had me constantly cheering in certain ways. I can't express how much I love this movie. It's the best time that I've had at watching a movie. I'm not sure if I still like the Batman a little bit more, or I'd have to think about if there's something else that I watched this year. But this was one of the best times I've had at watching a movie. It's miles better than the original Top Gun for many reasons, technological reasons being the biggest one. I think it's a great movie. I think people who don't like it should give it another chance. It's damn good. Chris, talk about Top Gun Maverick a little bit.
I love this movie.
It's so good.
it is better than it should be, I think.
Agreed.
Because so I watched the original a few months ago in anticipation of this one. Because okay, yeah, Zeddy's enthusiasm was so contagious.
Yes.
I was like, okay, let me see what this is about. So I watched the first one and I didn't love it. I thought, okay, this is cool. I think we talked about it on here.
Yep.
And then, this one is just so much better in every way. The performances are better. The love story actually works in this one. I think the relationship between Tom Cruise's character and Miles Teller works. I actually like Miles Teller in something. Who knew that was possible?
Really? Oh, you don't like Miles Teller?
I mean, he's okay. He never really
Whiplash?
stands out to me. I haven't seen it.
Whiplash? Oh, okay. Never mind.
I haven't seen it.
Carry on.
But I've seen like Fantastic, and I've seen War Dogs is a movie I like a lot, but I don't really like him.
Good.
But yeah, Top Gun, and the effects are really cool. One thing though, toward the end, there's that huge action sequence. And I was like, man, I wish I would have caught this in IMAX. I really wish I would have seen it in IMAX. It's just such an impressive movie from start to finish. And it has John Hamm in it, so I'm about that.
I was going to say, every time it came on, I'm like, oh, Chris is going to be loving that
guy. No, Tom Cruise did not lose his loving feeling. No, he doesn't sing in this one, surprisingly.
No.
Miles Teller does the singing.
Yeah, that's right. It's interesting that you say, and we both said it's miles above the first one, but how similar it still is. And how, like, Tom Cruise, he's riding on his motorcycle without a helmet. It's got that singing scene.
Yeah.
It's got the cheesy sport on the beach scene. It does have that cheesy love story, especially when it comes to the end. And my wife is like, "Why isn't he wearing a helmet on his motorcycle?" I'm like, "This is just an '80s movie. It's just a better made '80s movie." And maybe that's why it works so well, because like it's just a good time. Yeah, Zeddy, I agree with you. And it came. I'm like, this movie is, and Zeddy's been saying this. It's going to get a Best Picture nomination. It's going to get a Best Director. It's going to get Best Sound. It's going to get Best Editing. All of that stuff. This movie is it's a great movie. Not just that it's a good time and a cool movie. It's great.
Something I wanted to add is that you kind of see the trailers and you assume it's just a complete feel good type of movie.
Yeah,
and it's actually not. There are a lot of serious points to it and emotional beats, and I think they work really well to make this a complete package. You have fun stuff, you have action, you have some dramatic things, and it's just a really well-made package, including that huge cameo from the Ghost of Goose, which is really cool, and Optimus Prime. But yeah, Top Gun Maverick is easily, after seeing it, one of my favorite movies this year. I can't call it my favorite because Batman is Batman, and it's on HBO Max for those who don't remember. But this is like solid. It's going to be in the top 5, top 10 area for me. I love Top Gun Maverick.
I agree. And you mentioned how it blends so many things. It's interesting how it blends like that rock solid action where you're literally on the edge of your seat and you feel like, oh, they're going into their final mission. They complete their mission and that's it. And then it really flips and like it starts doing comedy.
Yeah.
Where Maverick and I'm like, wait a second. And like, oh, wait, no, this is funny. They're being really funny. This is really funny. And then it continues like that whole scene where they're getting back on a plane to fly off again. Like there's 50, maybe 5 to 10 minutes of straight comedy stuff that's happening. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a nice little relief that's happening right now. And then all of a sudden it boosts right back in again and really gets that emotional stuff. Specifically like Rooster's in the back and Mav's trying to get him to work the tech stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Rooster asks him about it. I'm like, I don't know. That was your dad's. Your dad was back there. I didn't do any of that stuff. Just like, oh man, and the whole time where they're Mav's saying, "Oh, speak to me, Goose," and then Rooster says, "Speak to me, Dad." I'm like, oh man, and then at the very end, Maverick knocks on the picture on his little bulletin board there. I'm like, oh my, I lost my mind. I'm like, and I didn't, and you compare it to how that death works in the first one, and it doesn't work as well. Like,
what do you mean?
Goose, like when Goose dies.
Well, I didn't know Goose was gonna die when I watched the movie.
Okay.
So to me, I was like, oh, Goose is dead. Like it was a huge deal for me.
Yeah. So, if you compare it though, it's like if I was to watch Maverick again, I think I would still get the feels for the Goose death over watching it in the original Top Gun and having Goose die.
I think the added context is what does it here.
The son just makes it so much more, and the conversation that Maverick has about how he failed this kid.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, like, and I didn't. That's the stuff I didn't expect. Like, I knew we were getting some of the stuff because obviously Rooster is in it, but I still wasn't expecting to care about it like goofy, because like the first one's more or less goofy.
It is.
It feels, yeah. I just didn't expect to feel this way about the movie. I was expecting a rock hard action movie, but like really good action, because that's all we ever heard about the whole thing. Oh, they're flying the planes for real, and nobody's ever done this before, and blah 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 blah. I was not expecting to feel something when the movie ended, and like, and you talked about the, I'm going to talk with Iceman, Val Kilmer in it. Like, I wasn't expecting that stuff. I wasn't expecting the Optimus Prime stuff, and how they did it the right way. Like, they paid tribute to an actor who's still alive, but they made it work into the story as well. It's just like, man,
yeah,
100%, 100%, or grabs 100%, man.
I think, I wanted to highlight this because Grabs may ask a good question here. I think they are, because it's not just nostalgia. You can't do it based on nostalgia alone, because I think they have tried stuff like that and it didn't work as well. Ghostbusters Afterlife was gigantic last fall. It really was. It was big, and someone like me who went into it with low expectations, I saw it twice in theaters and I have it at home now. It's a great movie, and something like this also proves you take a little bit of the nostalgia, you mix it with something new, and you tell a story, and it's gonna work. And Top Gun was even, I think, more likely to fail than Ghostbusters because it's not a franchise to begin with. It was one movie in the 1980s, and it wasn't even considered like the best movie in the world or anything. I don't know too many diehard Top Gun fans.
No.
So, I think they have learned.
100%. You pay respect to what's come before, and you build on. And like they technically they could make another Top Gun movie with the younger crew now.
They could.
I don't know if it would still work, but they could. I think they built enough with Hangman when he comes in at the end, and the Rooster thing, and Phoenix, and I can't remember. Is that the girl's name or the guy that she flies with? I can't remember.
Oh, Hangman?
No, the one that Phoenix flies with.
I don't remember his name.
I can't remember. Anyway, so they could build off it if they wanted to.
I'm not
sure if. No, Bob was with the other guy, I think.
Okay.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But just the building, I think they did the characters right. I think it is called Top. No, it's the black guy. Cyclone is John Hamm.
I remember who you're talking about.
It wasn't Fanboy either, or the other one. It doesn't matter. But they built off these characters. I think they did it the right way. I don't know if I'd want to see another one because this one is just so freaking good.
I would.
If they could replicate the success. They could do it. I think they could do it.
I would watch it. And I agree with Ian here too. You don't always have to have these complicated think pieces. Sometimes it's good just to watch something. You get it the first time, you get what you need out of it, and you go on. I really like that. Like Zeddy said, you told me not to think. I don't want to think. I just want to watch Top Gun.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there was nothing in the story that surprised me. Oh, they completed their mission. Of course they did. Like, did you expect them to fail? I didn't like. He's not going to fail. And I expected somebody to die. Like, expected the Fanboy.
I expected Maverick to die.
Did you?
Yeah, I kind of did.
I didn't expect him to die, but it was. I think it was special to me that they didn't surprise me with anything story wise. Like I expected him. Like Hangman's waiting back there. He's going to come. I know he's going to come save them. And I'm like, he's coming. He's coming now. They're going to get blown out of the water. Blah blah blah. And like he came, and it was still awesome. Like they still managed to make it work, even though I was expecting some things to happen with the storyline.
This line, it's what my dad would have done, kind of got me.
Yeah.
That was such a good line. Top Gun had a Nintendo game. I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that. Coyote was his name.
That's it. Thank you.
I don't want another with Cruise. It was too good. That's fair. If they do another, they really don't need Tom Cruise. I think Miles Teller did. He made a decent enough stamp in the movie, and then you also have John Hamm to anchor it if you need an older guy to be there for whatever reason.
Yeah,
like I'm the colonel here or whatever.
Yeah, I'm the colonel here.
Yeah, I think that'd be the line they use. I am the colonel here.
One thing that I thought was interesting after I had watched the movie, and we didn't really talk about it. We talked about the love story, and I thought that it worked. You thought that it worked, but Jennifer Connelly in it. And this has nothing to do with Top Gun Maverick, but it was something about a certain actress or actor being in a movie, and all you see is them from another role, and how it affected my enjoyment of her in the role. All I can see from Jennifer Connelly is Requiem for a Dream. All I see is terrible, horrible things happening to Jennifer Connelly. Like, it's just something that's burned into my head. I don't know if there's any actors or actresses that are like that for you, Chris, where all you see is something they've done before, and you can't see their acting. You can't, like, even her in Beautiful Mind, I can't see her acting in that movie. All I see is her from a past role. Is there another person like that for you, or you just can't get past what they've done before?
I feel that way about Mark Wahlberg, but that's because I don't like him. I just think of all the horrible performances I've sat through because of him.
That's certainly a way.
I'm
that's
not
a way to take it.
Just that plays in my head. I'm not a co-op.
Yeah.
I don't really like Mark Wahlberg. That's probably the only one. I can usually separate the actor from the past works. But yeah, off the top of my head, I can't really. No, not really.
It could be just me and that specific actress in that specific role that she was in Requiem for a Dream. Of course, she's in a million other movies. That's not the point, Ian. The point is that I can't see her in the movies that she's in because of something she's done before.
It's a shame that Requiem for a Dream is the one that bugs you, though, considering it's just such a weird film.
and like I said, terrible, horrible things happen to her. It's not a fun-loving thing where she's having a great time, and she's absolutely awesome in the movie. And like I said, she was in Beautiful Mind. I think she won Best Actress for that movie.
She was fantastic in that movie.
It's just tough to get past.
She's also really good in The House of Sand and Fog.
I kind of feel that way a little bit about Anthony Hopkins as well. It's hard to see him not as Hannibal Lecter.
Hold on now. Anthony Hopkins had so many great roles, though.
I agree, but again, when I see him acting, I see Hannibal Lecter, and it's hard for me to enjoy other than him as Hannibal Lecter.
That's a technical foul.
How about that?
I love Anthony Hopkins, absolutely outstanding actor. I see Hannibal Lecter, so just something I thought about with Jennifer Connelly.
I see Zorro actually, or Van Helsing.
Oh, Van Helsing.
I saw Silence of the Lambs way later in life, and I'd seen Bram Stoker's Dracula first, ironically, and other stuff with him.
Love him as Van Helsing in
he's
insane. So good
in that show. It's because it is a traumatizing movie. There should be a warning. Yes, I agree. Like, I remember when I was younger, I watched it. I think I was like 12 or 13, probably too young to watch it, as with most things I've seen. And I remember thinking, like, how can anyone want to do drugs after watching this movie? Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
That's right.
But that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
So it's not heroin. But anyway.
So that's what we thought about Top Gun Maverick, The House of the Dragon, and Only Murders in the Building. Kind of more of a watching week this week for the rest of us.
Yeah, I have loved Jennifer Connelly since I saw Career Opportunities as a kid, so that was kind of that. And I think it was Career Opportunities for me. Ryan Reynolds does have like that same thing.
I despise Ryan Reynolds.
Him, Dwayne Johnson, and there's other actors who just kind of play themselves. Tom Cruise actually usually plays himself in a movie, but I don't mind it because I love him anyway. He to me is like one of the last living movie stars, like real movie stars. So, Labyrinth, saw was first. She's mine. I think the boys are about to have a fight. Labyrinth. Okay, everybody likes Labyrinth, I guess. I just saw Labyrinth for the first time within the last 5 or 6 years. That movie's very creepy. How did children watch this thing?
I haven't seen it.
It's
My
about
wife,
evil.
my wife
Is it?
loves it. I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, it's like a beloved movie, but it's about evil puppets kidnapping a baby. And then David Bowie's the Goblin King, and he's not creepy. It's David Bowie, but still,
Yeah.
it's,
It's an expected creepiness, isn't
it's like it's just weird puppets,
it?
and they're happy to kidnap the baby. Like, what the hell's going? Usually, that's like the scary films, but hey, it's a musical, so I guess that's cool.
That's how it works.
And it is a fun movie though. It's got some fun stuff. Big animation movie with Harley Quinn and Lower Decks. Yeah, Lower Decks was pretty big.
Lower Decks, good stuff.
I watched Harley Quinn. I like that. You should check that out at some point.
Yes, I know.
Labyrinth gave me nightmares, but it's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to get to Mike by any chance, or did you have any interest in Mike, the Mike Tyson show?
Oh, and it's on Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever you guys.
For me, it's on Hulu. I think for you, it's on that Star thing.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. No, I thought Jamie Foxx was making a Mike Tyson thing too.
He is, from my understanding. I think it's with Spike Lee. I think maybe I'm wrong on that. So they have a movie coming, but for right now, there's this TV series which is based on a book, and the book is based on his one-man show that he did. It's kind of interesting to watch.
Harvey Keitel's in that.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in it. I was watching, and then you see him, I was like, oh, that's Harvey Keitel. That's pretty cool. He's the only person I recognize in this show.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I would recommend checking out if you have any interest in boxing and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll do for sure. All right, let's get into a poll, Chris. We had a pretty interesting poll last week up on our Twitter account. So it was for science, of course. The Batman 66 series is absolutely iconic. We don't think anyone would argue with that, but what if it failed or didn't exist at all? If the series had failed or not existed at all, do you think Batman would still be as big today? The winner of it was probably not. Pretty emphatic win, 60%. But we had some cool comments. Zeddy said, much like the serials in 1943, they didn't move the needle in a big way, all due respect. I think Adam West Batman did and ushered in an entire generation of Batman fans, in the 66 series made the weight of a darker tone with the Batman 89 movie more impactful. Jay Yaws on Twitter said the comics were close to cancellation, and editorial even bandied about the idea of killing off Batman until the show revitalized the brand. That, plus the fact that the more grounded stories in the 70s and 80s were a direct response to the camp of the 66 shows that were not. Phil Walsh is probably not. I think a Batman movie does happen, but it likely lands in the Shadow/Dick Tracy films. Perhaps a financial hit, but no staying power or cultural resonance. Craig Harlow on Twitter said, wasn't the comic close to cancellation? For the TV show aired, sales improved as a result of the show, and the rest is history. Chris, what do you think? What are your feelings on the 66 series and even the movie?
The series, I don't really like it. I think it's a bit too goofy for my taste. I think as a kid I was much more into it, and it's actually one of my earliest memories of Batman period is the movie itself being on a TV screen. So I have like a little bit of nostalgia for it, but as far as Adam West's portrayal, it's not really for me. What sparked this was actually I saw a clip of Lyle Waggoner, I think that's how you pronounce it, as Batman. And I thought, hey, that doesn't look too bad because he plays it much more straight and it's not goofy. So that worked for me.
So what do you think about the idea? Do you think Batman would be Batman as big as he is, biggest global phenomenon, without that 66 series?
I don't think so, because it took the 66 series for them to say, okay, because that was a reflection of the comics at the time, which I don't think a lot of people were reading them. You know, if you were watching a show, you might have been watching because it was on TV at the time.
Yeah.
So when the show did well toward the decline, they're like, okay, we got to switch this up even in the comics. And then we got like Denny O'Neil, who switched things up. So I don't think he would have been the icon he is today. So I think he would have been, like someone said, much more along the lines of the Shadow or a Green Hornet or something like that now. Superman probably would have still existed and been what he is, but Batman, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing how the 66 series, when people think of Batman, that's one of the first things they think of, I think. Specifically for the older generation as well. My mother or even my grandparents as well. If I ask them who Batman is, they probably say Adam West. So I think it helped with the longevity of the character. I think, obviously, the tonal nature of Batman has changed numerous times since his inception. Joel Schumacher even tried to do a little bit of a Batman 66 thing, the goofiness, the out there nature of the characters and all that kind of stuff. And it didn't work for the newer age. But yeah, I agree that Batman wouldn't be Batman. I think Batman wouldn't be Batman without the iterations of Batman. We wouldn't have got the Nolan Batman without the Schumacher Batman. So in a way, like whatever Batman came before is what the way that we got Batman now, or now. So I think it all matters.
I think it does too, but I just don't know if the show failed, like what would have. It's a great what if question. I think
It is, yeah.
And
what do you think by failed? Do you think it's like they only had one season, or
like one season, or maybe it didn't get off the ground? Period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if they said, "Okay, Lyle, you're Bruce. Let's show the network." Network said, "This is crap," and shut the door on them. Don't come back. What would have happened? Because that show is responsible for creating so many Batman fans. Like even like I said, I remember the movie as a kid. It was probably my first introduction to him, and probably what caused the Batmania I live in today. But without that show, there would have been nothing Batman to watch. So it would have just been comics until who knows when.
Well, and that's what Jay Yaws says that in the comments as well, about how the comics were close to cancellation. That's such a weird thing to think about now, is like having aside from the movie and TV world, how there wouldn't have been Batman in comics. A cancellation, I'm not sure how that would have worked. It just would have stopped for a while and then would have come back eventually. But maybe, sales and property and rights and all that kind of things. Who knows how that would have worked?
He could have came back as a completely different looking character, because his first incarnation, he had a holster with guns in it.
Yeah.
And then he evolved into "I'm not going to kill you anymore." And then got 66 stuff. We got Frank Miller stuff, and now we come full circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the cool things about the 66 series, and everybody is, people are mentioning in the comments too, the supporting cast was really impressive. Like Cesar Romero's the Joker is actually one of my favorite performances of the Joker in live action. I love his Joker. Burt Meredith as the Penguin is iconic. Frank Gorshin's Riddler, who Jim Carrey basically ate in Batman Forever. It's the same thing.
Yep.
And we had numerous Catwomen, and they were all good. Eartha Kitt was great. Lee Merriweather. The list goes on. Their guest stars were so cool. You had Vincent Price on there as
Eggman, yeah. Yeah, Egghead, yeah.
And to me, I think I wanted an Egghead action figure when I was a kid because I loved Egghead for some reason. Fun fact, the test rating for Batman were the lowest ever for a TV pilot, but ABC had already ordered season 1, so they put it on the air, and the rest is history. There you go. That's fun. I didn't know that. The weird thing about it is it's not streaming anywhere.
Oh, it's not on HBO Max either?
No, it's not. I think the movie might
ABC. Does it have something to do with like the TV rights to it? Or
the movie pops up on Netflix from time to time. I don't know about the series. Who owns the rights to it? I have no idea. I know Todd McFarlane's milking the toy license for all that it's worth.
Nice.
Actually, there's this new set. It's a lunchbox, like an old school lunchbox, and it comes with 4 figures. It's really cool. I'm kind of considering getting it.
Yeah, it's funny how we watch that series now. You watch it and you accept it for what it is. I wonder, as it was going on, how people viewed it as it was on TV. Did they think it was just a fun romp? Did they think that's how Batman is? Were they fans of Batman? I'd have to ask Mr. C. I should ask him about that if he was watching it back in the day. If he was having conversations about people, if it was like a water cooler show. Did you see Batman the other day? Or
I think he was pretty young when it came out, though.
Yeah, well, he would have been for sure. He would have been I don't know how old he is.
I think he's 57 56, I think. I don't remember.
So he would have been just
If
early
he
teens
listens, he can let us know. I forgot.
Yeah, that's right. I just wonder if it was like a water cooler show, or it was just more or less just a goofy show that was on that got good or bad ratings. I'm not sure. It would have been interesting test, seeing how it would have been viewed back then. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too, because I think most of us, you and I, of course, and those in the chat only saw it in reruns. So I'm curious how that would have worked.
Yeah, I think I saw it early in reruns, and I have the DVD set around here somewhere that I popped in a little while ago just to catch up on it. Great.
If he's 56, he's only 9 years older than me. That's depressing.
Jesus.
Well, that escalated.
Yeah.
Grandpa? No, he is Mr. C.
Yeah, Mr. C. So that's the poll from this week, guys. Batman 66. We'll have a new one up, I'm sure, tomorrow or so. Chris, let's play the thing that's really, really loud so we can talk about it. So if you're listening right now, guys, turn your headphones down.
Is it still really loud?
I think so.
I don't know how to fix that. Okay, hold on.
That's right, guys. Elves, hobbits, and potatoes. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power has a couple different viewing days this week. If you're lucky enough to catch the first two episodes at the theater, you can watch it Wednesday night, or you can watch it Thursday as well. We'll fix that for the podcast. But I just want to let you know that Rings of Power is out this week. So Chris and I's first episode of Elves, Hobbits, and Potatoes will be out a couple of days after that. We're really looking forward to it. There's new trailers out. Still iffy on the new trailers a little bit, but we're going to have that. That's fine. Chris, we're only a couple days away from the series airing, first two episodes. What's your expectation level for it?
Through the roof is the best way. I am so excited for Lord of the Rings. You and I have been waiting for this. And I think there was a point where we were chomping at the bit for any kind of news, and now there's a plethora, and I don't care now. I just want the show. I'm so excited, and it sucks that I did not know it was going in theaters this week because I would have went to see it, but unfortunately all the tickets are already sold out, so I will wait. But I'm very excited.
I'm very excited too. So trailers aside, I put up a tweet on the account the other day, kind of asking what your favorite trailer was for it. Cookie's favorite one was the first one, the first Super Bowl one that kind of got us introduced to it. I still like the San Diego Comic-Con trailer immensely, but there's been a bunch for it. There's a bunch of interviews, news for it. I cannot wait. I can't wait to get into it early on Thursday for people at home. So, guys, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks, and you will find us.
Is it Lord of the Rings week?
Lord of the Rings week.
Should we call it Lord of the Rings week?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, we're just going to use this as a placeholder because I don't want to make another banner.
Yeah, Twigvolution. Is that out next week? I think it might be next. I think it's out this
final. It's the final one.
I think it's out not this week. I think it's out next week.
I don't know what I'm going to do without Twig in my life.
I'm scared for you, Chris.
I am very worried. Cookie actually has a really cool print framed on her wall, and it is really neat.
What's that?
I want to say it was issue 5. It was issue 4 or 5 that you have. I don't remember, but it was just cool. I was thinking of framing some myself, not of Twig. Mm-hmm. That, I don't do the physical copies of that, but I was thinking maybe to get the trade and do that or something.
Ooh, nice.
Tickets were sold using a lottery system. Here I failed. Oh, here they were just first come first serve, and they were free.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually didn't know until I was listening to the Vigilante 1939, and Nico mentioned it. It's like, hey, it's going to be in theaters, and then I missed it. So the one about the one to rule them all. Yes, Twigvolution.
Yeah, some of the early reactions for Rings of Power came out late last week as well. I'm not sure if you caught any of those, Chris.
I did.
Mhm.
Okay, what did she do it for?
It's kind of going about what we thought about the trailers to begin with. How the characters weren't hitting for us a little bit, but the spectacle, the way it looked. Of course, it's a $500 million show, so it should look good. But it's going to take a while to get into, and I think that's why they're releasing 2 episodes, trying to help us a little bit more. And then by the 3rd episode, we'll be off and running. Again, I'm going in with a very open mind about the whole thing. And I'm ready for the experience as well. Much like Only Murders in the Building, where I'm not going to judge the whole season or the show on the first couple episodes. Going to wait until the finale or when it really gets going, because I'm beyond excited to get into the Lord of the Rings world again.
Yes, I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun.
So much fun.
I wanted to not rewatch. I've never seen the Hobbit film, so I wanted to watch them this week before it. And I'm going to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I know the first 3 pretty well, so I don't really have to. But
yeah, that's right.
I want to check out the Hobbit films.
Nice. All right, guys, that's a show for this Sunday. Chris, before we get out of here, hit us up with some plugs.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at @ChrisEvans0. But as always, I prefer you follow the show at G of the Geeks. And Emmett's good with the YouTube follows and likes and things like that.
You can follow me at EmmettDavis7, but like Chris said, just follow Gathering of the Geeks. We're available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. Wanted to say thanks to Ian, Grabs, Cookie, Phil, Eric, Zeddy, Lauren. DC Patrol is in for a bit. I think that's everybody. Awesome again, as always, guys. We'll look forward to talking to you next Sunday. Make sure you check out Elves, Hobbits, and Potatoes that will be coming out sometime early next week as well, wherever you get your podcasts. In saying all that, for Chris, and I'm Emmett, and we gather on Sundays.
Later, Gators.